Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be cutting and sewing this monkey jacket that you can see on your screen. So I put out a community post yesterday about this jacket and most of you asked for the two-piece. So I have a short pant tutorial. I also have a long pant tutorial. I'm going to leave the link to the pant tutorial in the comment section. If you want the short pant or the long one, the link is going to be in the comment section, okay? So for this tutorial, I'll be cutting and sewing this jacket. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So guys, I already have my pattern paper. I'll be using this pattern paper to draft for both the front and the back. And as you can see on the thumbnail, the front pattern has a button allowance, okay? So you are fixing button to the front of your jacket. So what I'll do is to take 1.5 inch as my button allowance. I'll mark the 1.5 inches all the way to the end of this pattern paper and I'll connect all the dots into a straight line. After doing that guys, the next thing I'll do is to start taking my point. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. I'll mark the 10 inches like this and I'll roll a straight line across. I'll label it my bust line. The next point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my waist point, okay? So the distance from my shoulder to my waist is 16 inches. I'll mark the 16 inches and I'll go ahead and roll a straight line across and I'll label it by waistline. The next point I will take is the length of my jacket, okay? So I want to extend the front by 4 inches from the waistline. So what I'll do is to mark 20 inches and I'll also roll a straight line across. So guys, on the shoulder line, I'm going to take out about 2.5 inches from my shoulder measurement. So half of my shoulder measurement is 8 inches. Instead of placing the 8 inches, I'm placing 5.5 inches, meaning I took out about 2.5 inches from my actual shoulder measurement, okay? So guys, I'm doing this because I don't want my shoulder to be very wide, okay? So as you can see the two pictures on the screen, you can tell that one of the shoulder is wider than the other one. So I'm reducing my own shoulder measurement by 2.5 inches because I want the shoulder to be slim since it's a sleeveless jacket, okay? So the next thing I'll do is to place my tape on the chest, on the bust line, sorry, and I'll mark the same 5.5 inches that I have on the shoulder line. After doing that, I'll connect like this in a straight line, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is to determine the width of my neckline, okay? So I'll be using 3 inches for my neck width. This is for both the front and the back. After doing that, I'll place my tape on this straight line and I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'll slant from that point to meet the 3 inches point like this. So you guys, I do not have my chest line on this pattern paper. I started from my bust line because the armhole area of this jacket is really wide, okay? The next thing I'll do is to take my neck depth. Okay, for the front I'll be using 8 inches as my neck depth. So in order for me to get a straight line, you can see me marking the 8 inches. After doing that, I'm going to connect like this, okay? I'm creating this shape, but this is not what I want, but I want to connect it just to get a straight line. As you can see, I extended the line to meet my button allowance, okay? After connecting like this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to start placing my measurement. So I'm placing my tape after my button allowance. On the bust line, I placed my bust circumference divided by 4. On the waistline, I placed by waist circumference divided by 4. So I went ahead to add 1 inch for my dart intake because I'll be taking darts for this jacket. After doing that, I'll connect from the bust line to meet the waistline like this. The next thing I'll do is to add my stitching allowance. So I'll be using 1.5 inches as my stitching allowance. So I'll add 1.5 inches on the waistline and on the bust line, and I'll also connect the two dots together. So guys, the next thing I'll do now is to place my tape on this straight line. As you can see, what I have there is about 9 inches. I'm going to fold my tape into two to get the middle of this 9 inches. What I have is 4.5 inches. I'll mark the 4.5 inches like this. After doing that, I'm going to now connect from the middle point like this to meet the bust line like this. Okay guys, after doing that, I'm going to go down from the waistline by 1 inch. As you can see me doing, I'm going to mark the 1 inch all the way like this, and I'll roll a straight line across. Okay, so I'm extending the back by 1 inch, and I extended the front by 4 inches, just like I explained earlier. So I'm going to straighten out these lines. So guys, next thing I'll do is to come in on my jacket length. That's immediately after the button allowance. I'll come in by 3 inches. I'll indicate the 3 inches with a dot. I'll slant from that 3 inches to meet the 1 inch that I came down with from the waistline like this. After doing that guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do now is to connect from the 1 inch back to this 3 inches like this. So I'm connecting I'm connecting my actual measurement. I'm not connecting the stitching allowance. I'm going to leave the stitching allowance the way it is. Okay, so after connecting, this is what I have. So I'm going to cut it out like this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to go down on this neck width area by 4 inches. So because I don't want a square neckline, okay, I want it to look like a round neckline. So what I'll do is to connect from that point, and when I get to the button allowance area, I'm going to go down from this my straight line by about half an inch, as you can see me doing, just so when I sew it's going to stay flat. Okay, so from this 1 inch that I came down with, also I'm going to extend that 1 inch into the button allowance like this, and then I'm also going to come up just like I did for the neckline area. I'll come up by about half an inch also, as you can see me doing. Okay, after doing that guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and cut. So guys, I'm gonna to cut out the side, the arm or the base. Okay, like I said earlier, I'll be using this pattern for both the front and the back. So what I'm doing now is folding in my button allowance, and I'm going to take the neckline for the back. We already have the neck width. For the depth, I'll be taking 1 inch because it's the back. Okay, so what I'll do is to now connect from this 1 inch to meet the 3 inches width like this. After doing that guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut out this back neckline first, and I'll also cut out the shoulder slope. Okay, after cutting, I'm going to fold in that 4 inches extension that I have on my jacket length. Okay, because we don't need it for the back. The back is going to stop at that 1 inch that we extended from the waistline. I hope you guys are not confused. So I'm going to just fold in these parts. The back is supposed to be straight. It's not supposed to have that effect that we have on the front. So I'm going to fold it, meaning I extended my back by 1 inch from the waistline. Guys, I went ahead to fold my fabric into two, and I'm going to cut out exactly what I have. On the base, you can go ahead and add half an inch. On the shoulder area, you can also add half an inch. So I'm using a scrap fabric, but if you're not using a scrap fabric, I think 1 yard or 1.5 yard should be enough for you. So after cutting out, I'm going to go ahead and iron my stay to it. Okay, for the front, I opened up my button allowance, so I'm going to cut. As you can see, I'm adding half an inch to the base. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut out like this, and I'm cutting out the front neckline because I've already used it to cut out the back. I also went ahead to notch my button allowance. After doing that, I'm going to iron my stay to it. So guys, remember I left 1 inch for my dart intake. Okay, to take in my darts, I'm going to place my tape on the shoulder line as you can see me doing, and I'll go down by half an inch from my bust line. My bust line was 10 inches. I went down by half an inch, making it 10.5 inches. Next thing I'll do is to take half of my nipple to nipple measurement. So I'm placing my tape after the button allowance. Half of my nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inches. As you can see, I indicated the 4 inches. So that is the point I'll be using. My stitching allowance is 1.5 inches, as you can see. So I'm going to add that 1.5 inches to this 4 inches, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. So 4 inches plus 1.5 inches is 5.5 inches. So I'm placing my tape from my stitching allowance and I'll find 5.5 inches. Okay, so I'll mark the 5.5 inches as you can see me doing on the base. Okay, so what I'll do is to now connect from this point that I have below the bust point to meet the 5.5 inches that I have on the base, guys. So that is how to take in your darts for this jacket. Guys, what I'll do next is to place the pattern paper back on my fabric. I've ironed my stay to the fabric and this is the main fabric. Okay, I'm going to place the pattern paper. I'll use my pin to hold it down and then I'm going to open up the dart. Okay, I'll open it up. After doing that, guys, I'm going to remove my pattern paper. So this is what I have. You are just going to head over to your sewing machine and you sew it back with the 1 inch that you left for your dart allowance. So you're taking half an inch on both sides, okay, making it 1 inch. I'll just go ahead and sew and iron. So the same thing that you did for the main fabric, go ahead and repeat it for the lining. So I'm placing my pattern paper on the lining and I'm opening up the dart just like I did for the main fabric. After doing that, this is what I have. Next thing I'll do is to reduce the neckline for the lining piece. I'll also reduce the armhole area and the base because I don't want the lining to be popping out in the main fabric. Okay, I want the lining to be shorter than my main fabric. Guys, I've gone ahead to cut my back piece. As you can see, the center back is on fold. So I mentioned earlier that I'm using a scrap fabric, so it's not enough for me to cut out the lining piece for the back. So I decided to use this fabric. I've also gone ahead to iron my stay to put the lining and the main fabric. The next thing I'll do is to take in my dart for the back. So for the back, I'm also going to repeat the same thing that I did for the front. I went down by 10.5 inches, which is half an inch below my bust point. And I came in by half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'll also mark the same 4 inches on the base. After doing that, I'll connect into a straight line. Okay, so after connecting, I'm going to just split it open. Okay, so the back dart is that easy. Okay, so I'm confirming the 4 inches and I'm going to split it open. After doing that, guys, I'm going to trim off this lining just like I did for the front because I don't want the lining to be popping out in the main fabric. Okay, so what I'll do is to reduce the armhole area, the neckline area, the base. Okay, so just go ahead and do that. After doing that, I'm going to place this lining piece on my main fabric and I'm also going to split the dart. But before I do that, I'm going to reduce my lining piece first. What I'll do now is to fold my main fabric into two. I'll place the lining on it and I'll open up the darts. After doing that, I'll head over to my sewing machine and I'm going to take in my dart using my dart intake allowance. So guys, I've gone ahead to take in my dart for the front, and as you can see, I ironed the seam open, so it's looking flat on the outside and on the inside. Okay, so this is what I have for the front. I repeated the same thing for my lining piece. I ironed my dart in place. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Also for the back piece, I went ahead to take in the dart and I also ironed everything flat. So it's important that you iron your dart just so it looks flat on the outside. Okay, so after doing that, guys, the next thing I'm going to do now is to join both front and back piece together. So to do that, I'm going to arrange them like this. Lining facing main fabric. Okay, so as you can see me doing, I've arranged the front in place. So what I'll do is to sew the neckline, sew the armhole area, the button area, the base, and I'm going to leave the side. Okay, that is where I'm going to use to turn everything inside out. The back, I'll place the lining piece and the main fabric together. I'll also sew on the neckline area, the armhole area, the base. Okay, and I'll turn it inside out through the side. Okay, I've gone ahead to do that, guys, and this is what I have. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to join my shoulders. So instead of joining the shoulders like we normally do, I want the rough edges to be inside. So what I'll do is to arrange the front piece and the back piece as you can see me doing, and I'll pass my hand through the opening that we have on the side or the back. So I'm going to, that's why I did not sew the shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to pass the front, okay, through the back like this, and then I'm going to arrange in place. After arranging, I'm going to go ahead and pin, and I'll sew. For the other side of the shoulders, I'll also pass my hand through like this. Okay, I'll bring the front shoulder into the back shoulder as you can see, and then I'll arrange in place. After arranging, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pin, and I'll sew. So once I sew, the rough edges is going to be inside the fabric. It's not going to show on the right side anymore. Okay, after sewing, guys, I'm going to arrange the sides in place. Okay, so you can decide to also do an inseam finishing for the side. All you have to do is to arrange both the front and the back together as you can see me doing. After doing that, you are going to now place them lining to lining and fabric to fabric. Okay, the way we normally join our shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over like this, making sure the fabric is facing the fabric and the lining is facing the lining, and then you are going to sew all the way to the end. And you can also go ahead and join it just like I did for mine. I just went ahead to sew using my stitching allowance. After sewing everything in place, this is what I have. You can see that the button area is overlapping. Okay, and you can see that the front is longer than the back because we extended the front by 4 inches, and you can see the shoulder area, the rough edges is inside. So guys, this is what the back looks like. As you can see, it is shorter than the front. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is to fix my button. Okay, so I'm going to take it to the market and open the button hole, and then I'll fix my button. So this is my first attempt. So when I'm sewing again, I'm going to open the button hole. I think the outcome is okay. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.